Jason Gates is the horse show manager who hails all the way from Florida. Jason, what a monumental task. How do you do it?
Well, with this horse show, you get a lot of help. Up here, there's people that work with me all year long. I stay in touch with them, and I don't really come up here till a few days before the fair. With all that help, it's pretty easy to do.
Well, even with all of that help, what are some of the unique challenges of this venue?
Well, the challenge with any fair is parking and just space for cars. And we have 3 different shows. I got one out and the stall's clean, and another one in, different judges and different ring conditions that we have to prepare. And that's about it. But again, I mean, there's staff that cleans the stalls. It's just like clockwork. So it's really not too challenging, really.
Well, you are managing all 3 weeks, so you have hunters and jumpers, saddle horses, and draft horses. Now, really let us know, how do you deal with all those different personalities?
Well, they're pretty much all the same. I think the draft are the easiest, because most of them just seem to be here to have a good time. And the saddlebred people are fine. I know most of them. I announced their shows, a lot of them, for years. And I do a lot of hunter-jumper shows, so I probably know just a few of them in this part of the country. And I have a guy, my assistant, Jay Mullen, who kind of handles that part because he knows everybody. So it works out pretty good. If they like to be at a fair, then they'll be happy here. And we don't have many problems.
Do you have to make any specific changes to the footing in the ring or drag it a different way for the different disciplines?
Oh, yes. The footing changes every week. I mean, we start out with hunters and jumpers, and we keep it kind of soft, make sure it doesn't get too dry, and then it gets down to the base and they slide. And then, so it's 3, 4 inches, 5 inches deep for them. We maintain it all day long. And then for the saddlebreds, we have to start firming it up on Sunday. They start on Thursday. By the time they start, there'll be just 2 or 3 inches of soft on top. That's the way they like it. And then the draft, pretty much the same as the saddlebreds. So it doesn't change much from week 2 to week 3. But the draft doesn't like it too soft or too hard. So they're 2 or 3 inches of the soft stuff, and they're good too.
Do the carriages make a difference going through the footing and how you treat it?
It does, because they don't like it deep. It's harder, way harder for the horses to pull those wagons through deep sand or deep ring, whatever you have. So it's it's a factor, which is why we keep it just 2 or 3 inches on top, and they have no problem.
Well, this is a really big job, and you have a long-time history with the Big E. Is that correct?
I do. I announced here in 1977 when Honey Craven was the manager, and then Jane Bennett took over. I did a couple years for her, and then she unceremoniously dumped me. No, I shouldn't say that. I had a couple years off, and then Jim LaHood came as the manager, so I worked for him for 30-something years, and then he passed away, unfortunately, last year. And I was manager ever since.
So in all of your years at the Big E, what are some of your most memorable Big E moments?
I think, well, there's probably a couple. I think the most memorable was the first year I announced here. I considered it, because I lived in New England, and if there was any show I wanted to announce, because I'd only been announcing for 6 years at that point in 1977, was this show. I mean, I don't care. I mean, it was great. It was all hunters and jumpers, saddle horses, all the same week back then. It was busy, but that was memorable. I was so honored to have that. And after that, it's all kind of a blur, but working for Jim was great. But I think that one of the great was last year the Beach Boys were here. See my hat? They played closing night here last year, and JJ, who hires the entertainment, always told me, he said, I always say, when are the Beach Boys coming? Every year I ask him. He said, forget it, they're not coming. And he said, whenever you're the manager, I'll get them. And he was joking. And last year it worked out. He had them, I became the manager, and it was a great night.
Oh, well, that's wonderfully special, and what a touching tribute in so many ways, so many ways. The venue is in its 98th year, approaching 100. What do you envision for the future here?
Well, the future, I mean, we're kind of thinking on the 100th anniversary show in a couple of years what we're going to do there, and we haven't settled that yet. But I envision the Hunter Jumper show getting a little bigger. Saddlebred show, I think this year is a very good size, and we're just trying to to fancy that up a little more than it has been in the past. And the draft, I'd like to usually get a few more of those. I think this year we got 13 sixes for the draft. We've had upwards of 16 or 17 before. I'd like to get back to that. And we're making some changes in their show that I think will encourage more participation. And it's a tough battle because a lot of people don't like show fairs. In fact, Gene Cassidy asked me if he said he wanted me to make this the best show in America, and I said, great. First thing we need to do is cancel the fair. And there's a lot of truth in that, you know. But we're trying. We're trying. It's the people who want to be here have a great time.
With all of your responsibilities as the horse show manager, do you get to go out on the fairgrounds and participate and enjoy?
I do when I can. We have off days every week, the Monday and Tuesday, maybe Wednesday there's no show, and I try to go through the buildings. I don't get on many rides, but I try to go through the buildings and see what they got every year. It's a lot of walking around, but yes, we do that on the off days. A lot of fun.
Jason, thank you so much for your time. You put on a beautiful horse show, and all of the exhibitors look so happy, the ring, the footing, the staff, and thank you. We look forward to celebrating 100 with you.
I hope you're here. I'm glad John got you guys here. He lives in my favorite town, you know, Saratoga, so what I can do for John, I'll do. I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks a lot for coming.